I'm Dan Smith. I'm Dan Smith here interviewing President Andrew Johnson. How's your presidency doing?
Not so good, Bill. Not so good at all. The government is overpowering me. They're passing laws and, like the Civil Rights Act without me. They even tried to impeach me once.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, President Johnson. I have a few questions for you if you don't mind.
Not at all. Not at all.
So, President Johnson, how did the Civil Rights Act of 1866 become a law?
Well, it really began when there was a lot more violence in the South against African American people. The violence just continued to increase and never decreased. Therefore, the Republicans blamed my policies for the lack of justice in regards to civil rights. Then, Congress passed legislation over my vetoed vote, creating the law.
So how can they do that, Mr. President?
Well, if they have 2/3 majority vote, they can overpower my veto.
And how do you feel about that?
Well, it was totally unpredictable, especially because it was the first time that it's ever happened in the history of the United States of America.
So, Mr. President, why was the 14th Amendment passed?
Well, Congress passed the 14th Amendment to guarantee equality for all citizens under the law.
Mr. President, what does the amendment protect people against?
It's funny you ask that, Bill. It protects them against a lot of things. Freedom's rights from presidential vetoes, like the Civil Rights Act, for example, Southern state legislature, or the federal court decisions.
All right.
Indeed.
Now we're going to take a short break. Here's a word from our sponsor. Was anyone in particular involved in this?
Well, the radical and moderate Republicans did form up and create a team to create a reconstruction program.
So what, if any, were the consequences of breaking or not following this amendment?
Well, it really all came down to politics. One consequence, well, more of a risk you'd be taking. In this case, it involves the House of Representatives. You see, if your state did not allow African Americans to vote, your state would face the consequences of most likely decreasing your number of seats represented by black people in the House of Representatives.
So why was the Tenure of Office Act passed?
Basically, to limit my presidential power. The act ensures that I have Senate's approval before removing officials from office. The House of Representatives was angry when I tried to fire the Secretary of War, Edwin Stanton. The House of Representatives wanted to impeach me after I tried this.
Who else was involved in trying or not trying to impeach you? And did you get impeached?
No, luckily I did not get impeached. The moderate Republicans stepped back from the impeachment trial. They did not want to disrupt the balance of government between the president and the officials. Thankfully for me, the radical Republicans, in favor of impeaching me, lost by only one vote. Lucky for me. Wow, I was lucky. They needed 2/3 majority vote to remove me from office, but by one vote, I stayed in office.
One vote? Man, that's lucky. How did you internally react to the trial?
I guess you could say the trial made me open my eyes a little bit. I'm trying to do better and please the people. During the trial, I made a promise to the people of America that I would enforce the Reconstruction Acts. I am proud to say I did keep that promise.
Well, it was a pleasure talking to you, President Johnson.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Now our next guest will be Ulysses S. Grant. Welcome back. I'm Dan Smith. My next guest, Ulysses S. Grant. Come on down, Ulysses.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Hello. Nice to meet you. Hello, I'm Ulysses S. Grant, and I was elected president in 1868 with a lead in the electoral and the popular vote. My opponent, however, received most of the white votes, which provoked the making of the amendment. Of the amendment that would give African Americans the right to vote, also known as suffrage.
So why was this significant?
Well, it resulted in the 15th Amendment.
So what exactly did the 15th Amendment do?
Well, the 15th Amendment made sure that no state could deny anyone suffrage based on his or her race.
So did anyone reject this amendment?
Well, like all laws, there are loopholes. People will find ways to bend the rules. Even after the amendment, some states continued to exclude voting to some people. Most people that they excluded were African Americans. Yeah.
So Mr. Grant, how do you feel about this Reconstruction?
Well, I really think that it's a good thing for Americans, for the American people, and just for everyone. So it's a great thing.
Okay.
How do you feel?
No.
Christ almighty. He's gone rogue. Douche.
How's your presidency going?
Not so good. Not so good at all, Bill. The government is passing...
Wait, hold the phone. My name is Dan Smith.
No,
Guys, we're still rolling.
It was perfect. Perfect.
Really good.
That awkward...
Well, the amendment actually applied to both the North and South. This is great. I was elected president.
I just got a close up of you doing that.
I'm keeping that in. Oh, I'll just keep going. It was so good the first. Welcome back. I'm Dan Smith here. My next interviewee is Dan.
It's not Dan.
Hello. Welcome back.
You said-
Who else was involved in trying or not trying to impeach you?
What? No, I did not? Why does it start with no, I did not?
Who else was involved in trying or not
My
trying?
mustache is coming up.
You don't know
On
how
camera.
painful
You're
that
also
was.
recording. Oh, you did. I'm recording.
Ow.
Impeach Johnson.
So, Mr. Johnson, how's your presidency going?
It's doing all right. Well, against a lot of things, Bill. Freedom's rights from President legislation over my hero creating the law.
How can Congress do that?
My hero create. Come on!